All right, hello to the YouTube. So I just want to make a short video um, of what you can expect when modifying your exhaust. It is winter out. We've got at my house we've got about 3.5 feet of snow. Right here, the deepest part, like I'd say that's about 3 feet of snow or so, something like that. So I opened up the exhaust on this. It's a 2013 Mazda 6 Sport. Got the manual, 4-cylinder. It's not amazing sounding, but I did open it up. So I just want to kind of make a video that most people don't make. It's more realistic because, well, I'll get into the video a bit more. It is fun at first, but we'll get into it. Let me just start this up just to kind of show you what I mean when I say I opened it up. So yeah, that's just idle, and then yeah, so you can obviously tell that this thing's a lot louder than what a normal stock 4-cylinder would sound like. And just so happens, I'm just not looking, I just clocked at 152,200 miles. That just literally happened as I pulled in here. I didn't plan on that. I didn't even realize it was right there until I got into this parking area. But yeah, so let's just go over, turn off the lights. Let's just kind of go over the do's and don'ts, I guess. I don't know how well this is going to make me out, but yeah, so my 2013 Mazda 6, I did modify the exhaust a little bit. I didn't do anything major. I just had somebody go in and they did touch up the muffler, catalytic converter, and stuff like that, just to make it. They kind of rerouted it, to say the least. I'm not going to get into details, but there is a heat shield in there that rattles a little bit now. It didn't rattle when it first started, but yeah, one of the heat shields came loose. I got to take off. But so what to expect? I'd say for the first day or two, it was amazing. Let me tell you that right now. For the first day or two, I freaking loved it. Just how loud it was, because I've never really modified anything. I've had dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, and stuff. Our 1 4-stroke 4-wheeler, that's modified a little bit to sound a little louder. My dirt bike, I did straight pipe it for a certain amount of time, but it got to be the point where it wasn't even convenient. I was getting complaints from a bunch of neighbors because it was so loud. There's a 225 4-stroke Yamaha, and my God, my neighbors, they hated me for the longest time that summer. Pretty much from July all the way till the end of August, I had that thing as loud as it could be, and my neighbors were not happy. So I finally just out of respect, I put the old exhaust back on. I'll put the new one back on if I take its interest, but that's beside the point. The point is that with a car, it's a little bit different than modifying a 4-wheeler or a snowmobile or some off-road or something like that, or same thing goes for a truck. It's a little bit different with trucks and cars, SUVs, whatever you want to say. The difference being that you have to live with it. You have to live with it every single day. And when you have to live with it, by that I mean you have to deal with that loud noise. You have to deal with the fact that some warranties won't even cover certain parts of your car after you modify it. I was doing the extended warranty on this car because I'm having a transmission problem. That's going to be a video for another day. But the warranty, they didn't even want to touch it after I mentioned that. I said the exhaust is a little bit louder than the stock format, and they're like, "Oh, what'd you do? How much modification did you do?" And I said the car is completely stock. The exhaust has just been rerouted a little bit. I didn't really get into details because I didn't want them to be like, "Well, this kid, destroyed something. We're not gonna honor our warranty," or something like that. But so you will have problems with warranty sometimes, depending on who you go through and what they do to your exhaust. If you get a custom exhaust that is like TC Customs and Ford, I've heard they put exhaust on Ford F-150s, Rangers, all that good stuff, Mustangs. You can get legit things, but if you go in there with a hacksaw and you cut the exhaust off at the header, and you're essentially running open headers, which I wouldn't recommend, but then that's gonna be different. But if you get like a Magnaflow exhaust or something like that. And certain exhausts you can get, like a Magnaflow exhaust, I believe you can get set up, and it comes with that on the Mustangs and Camaros and Dodge Challengers. They all have it where you can make it into a quiet mode, like, you know, normal mode, loud, where it fully opens the exhaust up, all that good stuff. And that's always fun. That's the best way to go about if you have the money. But if you're someone like me who doesn't really have a lot of money and you just want to have some fun with it, it's good. It's just a warning that your warranty may be affected if you have warranty. If you take, you might run into more problems down the road. Like if you, depending on what you do to the exhaust to make it louder, it could fall apart a lot easier. It could rust out depending on where you live. There's a lot of problems that come with it eventually that you will run in if you, depending on how you do things. It's just, it all depends on how you go about it. And that's another thing, depending on where you live, you might get some complaints from neighbors or people like that. And obviously, I've taken this thing, right where I live, I try not to start it too early and go revving it up and down the road. I try and be respectful of my neighbors just because, you know, I don't want to be a jerk. You know, if my neighbors were a bunch of jerks and they complain about every little thing, then I wouldn't care. Some people don't care, but my neighbors have mostly been good, so I try and be respectful of that. Another thing that you're going to have to be conscious about if you do get a lot of exhaust, going through towns, like small little towns or cities and stuff, if you pass a cop and they're sitting with their window cracked or whatever, and you don't realize it's a cop, or you realize it's a cop and you just try and act cool and you rev up the engine or whatever and it's too loud, they might pull you over and just be like, you know, that's a problem. I don't know what the laws are, where whoever is watching this, where the law might be, what the laws might be there, but like around here, if it's above like a certain sound wave, like a certain decimal, it's considered illegal, which this is not past that. I mean, you have to have like a V8 or even a V6 might be able to go past it, but this one's definitely not past. I think like if the decimals, let's just say, I don't even know, let's just say it was like a 10 max and anything above that is illegal. This one's at like a 7. That's it. I mean, it's a 4-cylinder. What are you going to do? And you know, it's just one of those things where you gotta be conscious. Can't even think of that word. Where you gotta be aware. That's the word I'm looking for. Aware. You gotta be aware of the laws and stuff. Because plus, when you do modify your exhaust and you have a loud exhaust, especially if you're in like an old Honda Civic or some old rust bucket or something that's, you know, that looks kind of, you know, junky or something like that. Something that more likely a kid might be driving. Which I'm not trying to offend anybody saying that Honda Civic is. I'm not saying that. It's not. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying if it's a car that more than likely a kid would be driving, like somebody in high school, and you modify the exhaust and you draw more attention to yourself, then that might be more prone to getting stopped by a police officer. So that's just another thing to be aware of. Another couple of things is when, depending on the exhaust, with this exhaust system that I have set up, it is very, very loud when you're driving down the road. I have to have the radio up quite a bit more than usual. Usually I have my CDs or my phone set at about like 30 to 35, something like that. Now I have to have it up closer to 40 because even with the windows up, it's just loud. And like I'll show you, like when this thing is just sitting here idling, like, see, even now it's kind of, I gotta talk up a little bit, but when you're sitting at the RPMs, like, when you're sitting there like something like that, you know, you gotta talk a lot louder, you gotta have the music up louder. So that's just another thing that it kind of does get a bit annoying after a while. And another thing you might not be able to tell, I don't know if they'll pick this up on the steering. Yeah, it doesn't pick it up on the steering wheel, but this whole thing shakes. Like, watch the keys. When I give it gas, if you can, like, I don't know if you can pick that up or not, but the keys are like jingling a little bit. So that happens a lot when I'm driving on the road as well. Keys jingle, and it does get to be a bit annoying after a while. And I can feel it, like I can feel it in the seats. Like these seats will be doing vibrating, like that kind of, when it'll be just vibrating because of the exhaust, where the exhaust is, it's pretty much cut off, not cut off, but modified, like right from this point, like right here, underneath where your feet are, pretty much back. It's not as routed as it used to be, to say the least. So that's just another thing. Other things are when you have the exhaust modified. Another big thing that I've come to realize is that even if you love it, even if you love it to pieces at first, even if it's like one of the best things you've ever heard in your life, and you absolutely love it, it will get old after a while. um, and the thing is, it depends on what kind of car you have. You know, if you have like I said, like a V8, like if you have a freaking GT350 Mustang or something like that just sounds ungodly amazing. It just sounds absolutely amazing. You love it. That's a little bit different. But when you're modifying the exhaust on like a cheaper brand car, like a cheaper car, like this one's just a 4-cylinder. I mean, it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. I mean, there's not much you can do with it to make it sound good. And 4-cylinders, I know that people hate on them for, excuse me, I know people hate on 4-cylinder, even 6-cylinder for not sounding good. And you know, it's not that I don't agree. I mean, if I had to choose between a V8 Rumble and a 4-cylinder Rumble, if you can even call that Rumble, I would choose a V8. I mean, I would choose a Mustang V8 sound or a Camaro V8 or a Challenger V8 exhaust sound, no, over a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder. Actually, I would choose a muscle car from a Challenger. I mean, maybe a Camaro. I'm not a big fan of Camaros, but or a Mustang. I would take a V8 from that. I would take, let's say, the 5.2 V8 from the newer GT350 Mustang. I would take the sound of that over the sound of just about any other engine size. I'll be a V6, V8, W16, V12s, whatever you want to call it, even Ferraris. I think nothing can touch the rumble of a V8 muscle car, especially an old one from like the 69 or a 70 Mach 1 Mustang or something like that. Those things are just sound amazing. That's just my opinion. Those are the best. They're unbeatable to me. But that's just my opinion, as I said. So, you know, that's another thing you gotta look at. When you have people in the car, it might, having a wicked loud exhaust might upset your passengers. Not that you would care. Some people might not care at all. Some people might just enjoy it. But they, you know, if you have your mom or your dad or your grandmother or grandparents, brother, sister, whoever it might be in the car, they might not be too happy about it. You know, they might get a little bit annoyed about it. Believe me, my parents, they weren't too happy because they weren't expecting it. I drove home and I parked in their driveway, and I revved the engine up a little bit as I was positioning it so my dad could get his car out from behind me. And it's the winter, so I had to position it so he can actually get around me without getting stuck. And he came out, he's like, "What the heck's going on?" He thought I broke something. And he's like, "Your exhaust must be hanging off or something." I'm like, no, I just had this done. He was less than thrilled, I'll say that much. He said, and I quote, "Get the damn thing fixed." So there's that. You know, not every parent and everybody you know is going to be like that, obviously. So it's not always going to be like that. But I'm just saying that's a possibility. And for road trips, yeah, when you have a really loud exhaust, and like that, this kind of ties in with the radio having to be up louder and passengers and vibrating and all that stuff. It ties all in together when you're going on a long road trip. And when I say road trip, I mean even just a half an hour one way, half hour back. Even that, it can get annoying when you're driving. I've driven this thing. I've had this on for about a week now, this exhaust, and I've driven probably close to 1,000 miles. It does get annoying. I'm actually pretty annoyed by it now. It's getting to the point where I hate it. I honestly hate it. I don't like it anymore. I had my fun with it. You know, it's one of those things that I had fun with. It was an experiment more than anything. I had fun with it, and now I don't like it. And I don't know if it's just because, you know, it's a 4-cylinder. It's not going to sound great. You know, it's loud and everything. It's cool. It's funny. But it's not a Mustang. It's not something cool where, like, I'm going to be at a red light and I'm going to rev up the engine and be, like, all badass and, like, looking at the other people like, "We want to race? You want to get," like, you know, it's not going to be, like, one of those things because this isn't, like, the fastest car. I think the last time I clocked this thing on a dry day, it was a relatively cool day, too, so that helped in my favor. It was a dry road, it was relatively cool out. It was early in the morning. It was in the, I think September, I believe. It was probably in like the 50s that day in that morning. And we went, and I think I got it at like 7.5 seconds, 0 to 60. And that was like with the best shifting I could do. So It's not like this thing's a speed demon. It sounds different, but I mean, people are gonna hear this thing revving up and stuff at a light and be like, "Are you serious? This guy's an idiot. It's just a kid." That's what they're probably thinking. And well, technically, I'm a kid, I guess, but it's just one of those things. Honestly, I don't like it anymore because it's just kind of annoying. It's kind of a hassle having to drive this thing around and listen to the exhaust. And it sounds good for a short time, but then after I'm driving for like 20, 30 minutes, it gets a little bit annoying. And, because I'm sitting there, I'm trying to, like, if I have to make a phone call or something, I gotta either put the car in neutral, either that while I'm, like, in just coast and neutral and make the phone call quick, or I just gotta pull over completely because I can't hear the phone. And they wonder what that noise is because it sounds like there's a damn helicopter hovering over the car. It sounds like a freaking helicopter. I actually had 2 or 3 people say, they're like, "Where are you? You're like an airport or something?" Like, we hear like a helicopter noise. They thought my windows might have been down because sometimes we have like the back windows down, the front one's up. It makes that helicopter noise as well. It gets to be a hassle. I'm telling you. And I don't talk on my phone, like hold my phone up to my ear. When I talk, I either put it on speaker if my car doesn't have Bluetooth, but this car has Bluetooth. And I just connected to the speakers, and that makes it sound even worse, the sound from the exhaust. So that doesn't help things. But yeah, so that's just one of those another things that's kind of a hassle. But yeah, so that was just my opinions. This is all opinion based. This is just what I have experienced. So take it with a grain of salt. If you sit there and you modify your car and you love it and you don't want to change it, you do whatever you want. You do you. I'm just trying to inform people what it's like and what to expect from it. A little bit. I'm not saying this is some expensive exotic car. I mean, technically it's exotic because a Japanese Mazda. I mean, technically speaking, it's exotic, I guess, sort of. I don't know. But I'm not saying this is some really high-end, amazing sports car. Even though it's called a sport, it's a 4-cylinder stick-shift Mazda. I mean, I'm not one of those people who modify their cars and make it a lot better. If I'm going to get something fast for a track or something like that, I'll get a Porsche 911. If I'm going to get something that I really just want, that I've always dreamed of having, I'll get a Mustang GT500, the last generation, not the new one. The new ones have 760 horsepower. I understand that, but there's no manual. I understand that the dual clutch is the better transmission. It makes it faster. I understand all that, but I want a manual. It's a muscle car. I'm getting a manual, so that's what I would do. I'll get the last generation GT500. That's like one of my dream cars, but that's beside the point. So that's just my 2 cents, I guess, on modifying your cars. And believe me, I've had a lot of time on my hands, just like a lot of other people. And according to my parents, I have too much time on my hands. Because of COVID and everything. I understand now the vaccines are technically out, even though only certain people are seeing them. They are out and people are getting them slowly but surely. So I know things are going to hopefully be back to normal by the middle of the summer. Concerts and all that stuff will be back, I hope. So I've had time on my hands to modify the exhaust and do some things I've never been able to do before. So that's just another reason I did. But this Saturday, today is Tuesday, February 23rd. So Saturday, that's the end of the week. I'm going to be putting the exhaust back to stock, or at least to a lower tone level loudness as I can, as close to that stock as I can, because the stock didn't have any exhaust note. It was just all the engine. Like, you would just hear the engine rev up, but you wouldn't hear anything out of the exhaust. Cold start, no engine note, no exhaust note. So that was one of the reasons I did it. So I think I'm gonna mess around with it, maybe get it to be somewhere in the middle. That'd be nice, but it's just one of those things. So that was just my 2 cents. I hope it helps people with video or with doing their cars. I hope this video helps. And by all means, leave comments, concerns, questions, anything you have in the comment section, and I will promise to get to them. As soon as you guys upload the comment, I will get to them, and I will do it as fast as I possibly can. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I'll start this thing up one more time, whatnot. Close the door. Alright, that's a good video. Enjoy, people.